So I got this Haltech Elite connectors. It goes to this, which goes to, this is a plug-and-play adapter for an SR20 S14. I'm gonna modify these connectors. I'm gonna unpin some of these, and I'm gonna add drive-by-wire, flex fuel, and a boost control solenoid. And I'm gonna make a little sub harness with these connectors here. It's gonna come off to the side. That way this will all plug in here. And then I'll have my little side harness to go to my gas pedal, go to my throttle body, flex sensor, and my boost control solenoid. So that's what I'm about to do right now. All right, since a lot of the drive-by-wire wires, it looks like Haltech pretty much used every single wire in their plug, and it's going to this. So I have to continuity test to determine what pin everything is going to on the Nissan connector. That way, when I steal the drive-by-wire inputs, the powers, the 12-volt, or the sensor grounds, when I start taking wires out of these pins to make my own little side loom, I gotta make sure I'm not gonna take away from anything that's gonna be operating on the car, whether it be a sensor or something like that. So I'm hoping to take all the TPSs from the Nissan TPS and redirect those to drive-by-wire, and then a couple other things. The IAC, we don't need that, so I'm hoping maybe some of these are going to the IAC and I can redirect that. And I gotta make a little diagram with notes, so when we go to tune the car and set up all the sensors, we know what channel is operating what. So it's kind of complex, but I'm gonna work my way through it. So I was tracing the drive-by-wire motor power, and I wasn't finding much on these pins here, so I took this out of the Haltech casing to try to figure out where it's going. My problem is I don't want to take a wire off of here if it's going to eliminate something working on the Nissan side. So we're probing this to figure out what the dealio is. All right, I found a couple of my AVIs that I can use that won't cause any problems. One of them is for the factory SR TPS. So since we're going drive-by-wire, we won't need that. That's this white guy. And the other one is this orange one on the end. That one goes to the factory map sensor, or an AEM map sensor. But since the computer has a internal map, I'll be using this. This is good up to 30 pounds of boost. So we won't have an external map. We're going to use the internal map. So that's AVI 1 and 2. I can take those and utilize them for my drive-by-wire without affecting anything else with the car working. So now I just need 2 more for the pedal. And then these 2 will go to the throttle body. I need 2 more for the pedal. And then I got to find 5 volts for both. And then that's pretty much it. I can make my little sub harness. Now the trick is I got to figure out how to unpin this connector without hurting it. So that's my next move. All right, so I tried unpinning this. I even stabbed my finger. I don't have the tools to unpin this connector, so I'm going to stop here because I'm already starting to mess it up a little bit, and I still want it to plug in nicely. So I'm going to unpin from here and terminate and just repin from the Haltech connectors because I know how to use these a lot better. They're a lot easier to work with. I don't know why they put such an awesome connector on this end and then put this junk over here. All right, so since I couldn't unpin these connectors, I just ended up cutting the wires and heat shrinking them, terminating them here. I'm gonna tape them up back in the loom so it'll look nice. And I ended up pulling the wires out. That way I can hook this will go to the gas pedal. This one is for the wideband. It has an AEM wideband in the car. So this will be my 0 to 5 volt input to the ECU so we can read the wideband. I need to find 2 more for the throttle body, and then I need to find 5 volt, and I need to find sensor ground, and I can start making this look a lot nicer, because cutting into this definitely voided our warranty, but it's going to work just fine. I also have to do an SPI for the flex fuel sensor, so I got to find an SPI in here and route it to a connector as well, but we're getting there. All right, so this is my little sub harness that's going to go to my pedal. It's got 5 volts. It's got sensor ground and 2 AVIs for the TPS that's inside the pedal. I had to run a little ground. This is a little ground wire I tapped in to share. I gotta solder this still. I'm gonna solder that, and then that way this will terminate into a plug, and then I can run a plug over to the pedal. And now I gotta do the throttle body. So this is my 5-volt wire. I'm putting a little piece of wire in it, and I'm crimping 2 together because I need 5 volts for the throttle body signal. So when I make my throttle body harness, I'll have a 5-volt lead here I can use. I'm gonna do the same thing with the ground. It's okay to split these because they're not loaded circuits. It's just a 5-volt power source for sensors. So this is okay to split. I would normally use a barrel connector, but since I'm modifying this harness, this is how I'm doing it. And it should work just fine. I got my pins crimped. Made sure to slide on a little heat shrink. Start pinning my connector. I wrote pedal on here just in case somebody goes behind me. Don't know what this is. And then obviously the throttle body connector will be labeled as well. All right, everything's pinned. I got my spare sensor ground and spare 5-volt. Got a little bit of aluminum I'm gonna throw on here real quick, make it look nice. And I gotta throw my lock in there. And then I can move on and do my throttle body connector. Oh, that pin's not seated all the way, but I'll fix that real quick. All right, this is where I landed. I got my pedal wired up. I obviously gotta make a sub harness with the male side to go into there and then go to my accelerator pedal. This one I wrote throttle body on. This one has a 6-pin connector because the throttle body needs it needs 5 volts sensor ground, and then it needs 12 volts and regular ground, and then it needs 2 TPS AVI. So it needs 6 pins. The pedal also needs 6 pins, but it needs 2 5 volts, 2 grounds, and then the 2 TPS signals. But I'm going to jump the 5 volt and the ground when I get to the pedal. I'll show you that when I make the other harness. But this is how it's coming out. It's looking really nice. And now I need to get my power and ground, and then my my power and ground from the computer, and then I need to get my my 2 other TPS inputs for the throttle body, and then I can really start wrapping this up. And then I can come over here. This one's O2. I think I'm gonna do boost control and flex fuel through here too, and have a little sub harness for that. I could have went on the other side of this and did all this over here, but I decided to do this way. There's other ways to do this. Haltech makes an accessory expander that I could have bought, but I figured I've wired these up enough that I can make this work. So this is how we did it. I think it's gonna work fine. It's gonna look nice, and yeah, hopefully everything's great. All right, so I'm starting my other connector aside from the throttle body and the pedal. This purple one's for boost control. It's a digital pulse output. It was factory going to the factory digital pulse output for the factory boost control solenoid. So we're just going to steal it and use it for the Haltech one I have. And then this is for O2. I got this little plug. I like to label them just in case, but this plug's going to be boost, flex, fan, and O2. And then that's pretty much it. I kind of just went straight from the Haltech to these sensors because we have aftermarket fans. So the factory fan relay, I don't even think it's hooked up. So I took the fan signal. O2, we're not going to use the factory O2, so I took that one. We're not going to use the factory boost, so I took that one. And flex, I got to find a spare one that's not being used. And then I got to run 5 volts to this sensor ground and 12 volts. So it's an 8-pin connector. We're going to be using 7 of the pins. So that's what this is going to be for. Another thing I'm doing is, as I'm doing this, I'm marking everything that I am hijacking. That way I know, boost, fan, IAC, stuff like that. Just so I know this pin and this pin are going to the pedal. Just like a quick reference, so I always have something to go back to. Alright, so I pretty much got the drive-by wire done, the pedal and the throttle body. are all, you know, I got this little sub harness coming off to the side of the connector. I'm starting to dummy up this plug. This is you know, the boost, the flex, the fan, the O2, as you could read. So I kind of just throw the wires in there. I don't crimp anything because I want to route it nicely and clean it up. But this is where I've gotten with it so far. I still got some work to do to make this nicer. I'm gonna zip tie that together, zip tie this together. But this is gonna, you know, I'm gonna have some male plugs, and this one will run to the pedal, this one will run to the throttle body, so that'll be nice. I have some terminated wires over here that I just threw some heat shrink on so they don't cause any issues. I gotta solder this, and I gotta solder this ground, and then I'm gonna tape all this up. It's gonna look really good. But right now I gotta finish. Right now I have, this is boost control, this one is O2, and this is a sensor ground. I need to get a digital pulse input for my flex over here. I need to get 12 volts over here, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, so if you're wondering what these black and reds are, or orange are, I explained earlier, but that's my 5 volt jumping over to the other plug. So my 5 volt and my ground are being shared, which is fine. And then I got power and ground going to the throttle body, 12 volts in power, 2 TPS signals, and then the 5 volt and the sensor ground. So it's a pretty legit little setup. I love these connectors. They make things so much nicer and more professional. So make sure you get the right crimpers for them. Always use the right crimpers. And that's pretty much it. And I use a kit like this. You can get it off Amazon. It comes with a bunch of different, you know, all the way up to 12 or 8 pin. So it's really nice, and it just kind of streamlines things. No butt connectors or anything like that. All right, so I got my solder joints done for the power and ground. I had to get 12 volts from ECU power supply, or ignition 12 volt, and I stole a sensor ground. So I got my solder joints done. I taped up everything so it looks good. This is for the plug for all the other accessories, boost, flex, fan, whatever. I gotta pin this guy, loom it, heat shrink it, and then I'm pretty much done with this little sub harness here, and we should be ready to rock. So I'm gonna finish pinning this, and that's pretty much it. I got a lot of the AVIs and stuff over here. I have to jump a power because the boost solenoid needs power and the flex wheel needs power, so I'm gonna share like I do. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. Getting her done. All right, so this is pretty much complete now. This is a full plug and play S14 SR20 conversion harness with drive-by-wire, and then I had a couple accessories that I added to the side here. So I got this all done. This should plug right into the car. I obviously have to have my male connectors to make my sub harness to go to the throttle body and then to the pedal, and then I got to run all this stuff. Here's connectors I have for the pedal and the throttle body, and then I'll use some more of these, and I'll have a little harness that'll plug right in. So all this will unplug, so you can plug this right into your S14 SR swap. Have the electric throttle body. We're using a 350Z throttle body and a 350Z gas pedal. Plugs into the Haltech, and right now each one of these connectors, like this is a 4-pin and it's numbered, this is an 8-pin and it's numbered, this is a 6-pin. I'm gonna make a little diagram of what wire is going to where, so when I go to wire the other side it'll be a little easier and I could just fly through it. But I need to get some more loom so I can make my sub harnesses. But this is the hard part, and it's complete, it's ready to go, and that's pretty much it. I hope this helps somebody that's trying to do this, that's not making a custom harness and wants to do like a hybrid like this. This is like a hybrid plug and play, but we add throttle by wire and a couple other things. There's some extra inputs in here, so if you wanted to add like an oil pressure sensor or a fuel pressure sensor oil temperature sensor. There's a lot of things you can add or take away. So if my customer wants to do that, we could always add it. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty well good to go. And I'll plug it in and run the wires, and we'll be on the dyno here soon. Since we're putting the Haltech on here, we're going to convert to the R35 coil packs. We no longer need this igniter chip. So it goes right here, plugs in there, plugs in here. And we're going to delete this. This needs to be removed and bypassed. So I'm going to do that now. All right, so we went and cut this out, cut off the old connectors. And I just used one of my Deutsch connectors. Make sure all the wires are going to the right spot. And that's bypassed, completely bypassed. It's done right, done proper. Don't really worry about this anymore. Got the old Hellcat fuel pump swapped in. And there she goes. All right, so this is a sub harness for the pedal. This will plug into the G pedal. I jumped the ground and the 5 volts, as you can see, because this needs 2 5 volts and 2 grounds. It plugs in right here. And now I can move on to the throttle body. Super nice. All right, that's the pedal harness. This is the throttle body. So the pedal one plugs in there, throttle body plugs in there. I haven't put the throttle body plug on here yet, but that's my next move. And then this accessory thing. I did add an AIT to this plug because I had 1 pin left. I had to do it externally. It's not ideal, but this is inside the car, so it'll be okay. But now I'm gonna make this little sub harness. All right, so throttle body wire is all done. Pedal and throttle body. This one goes over to the gas pedal, plugs right in. This one goes into the engine bay through the throttle body. Got some extra slack here. Whatever we don't use, we can coil up inside the car. But I put some extra in case we wanted to ride out nice. This has a little bit extra too. So I measured it and added a foot to each side. So hopefully it gives us some extra. I got this is the IAT sensor with a connector. This is the flex fuel sensor connector. This is the plug for all that stuff. So I gotta work on this little sub harness next. It goes to the boost control solenoid, flex sensor, IAT sensor, fan trigger, and O2. Here's a boost control solenoid. I put some lume on it, heat shrunk it, got a nice connector on it, and make that plug and play. So I'm making this super nice and taking my time with it. All right, I'm setting up my drive-by wire. I kind of have everything just kind of ran across here just for testing in case I did something wrong. I got my pedal plugged in. I got a throttle body right here. I'm going back to my notes. I made notes of all this stuff when I wired it so I can assign my pins. They make it super easy. And hopefully we get a working throttle blade here in a minute, and we'll go from there. And then I can test flex, I can test my air temperature and all that next. All right, doing a little setup here. Got your throttle body in the car, just got it wired up. Pedals over here, the old gas pedal. So when I push it, got some throttle. Let me zoom out a little bit. There you go, look at that. That's what we're looking for. So now the computer is, you see it's got a little green light on it over there, is working. So now I can run all these wires into the engine bay. I can run this wire under the dash to the pedal plug, so it's clean, and then throttle by wire. All right, so we did push lock down from the hat. Anytime I have to clamp on one side and do an A in on the other, I use a push lock. So we got the feed and return. I like to use these factory fuel hangers, these guys. So it's nice and sturdy. It's zip tied up and it's bolted up with the hangers. Flex fuel sensor, feed's going up to the filter up here. Use the factory hanger for that filter. It actually worked out kind of nice. So the fuel system's pretty much done underneath the car. I'm gonna move up and keep moving on. All right, there's a little sub harness I make. this is your flex fuel. This is the boost control. This is the air intake temp. This little guy right here is for the fan trigger. I'll put a plug on him later. This is for the O2 coming from your AEM wideband. I'll put a plug on that later. But this is going to go through the firewall, plug into that harness I made. And he plugs in right here. These two go together, boom. And so you'll have your drive-by-wire plugs, pedal and throttle body, and then this is your accessory plug for boost control, air intake temperature. It's all written on here. Flex fuel, O2, IAT, so super dope. All right, this is all just kind of laid out for now. I'm gonna tuck it all up into the kick panel and whatnot. Everything's plugged in. I got everything installed. So this is the ECU setup. I ran the pedal wire for the gas pedal is under the dash, so that's super clean. Got an air intake temp. I haven't got the pipe done yet, but that's where this is going. We got your throttle body plugged in and the wires ran. You look down there, you can see the flex fuels plugged in, wires ran. Boost control solenoid, he's all hooked up. I gotta get rid of this screddy thing and take it all out so you can sell it or whatever you're gonna do with it. Next is turbo lines. Tomorrow morning I'll have all the lines, so I'll do that. Put the downpipe on, put the O2 sensor in, then finish up putting the cam gears on, get this thing all sealed up, bolt on the intake manifold permanently so I can make the pipe, because once I tighten it up it's gonna move just a little bit, see? So I'll make the pipe, start putting the intercooler pipes back on. I'm gonna clean up a bunch of shit like this that needs to be fixed. There's like butt connector after butt connector, it's fucking ridiculous. Fix that. There's 3 of them in a row. 1, 2, 3, Jesus. So get that fixed and clean up some of this stuff. I'm gonna relume the factory wiring harness to make it look a lot better. And we're pretty much coming to a close. I'll have all the fittings to finish the fuel lines to go. This fuel line's gonna go back here, and then this one's gonna go to the regulator. I gotta make a little bracket to hold the regulator. I might flip it around here and like have an L. Not sure how I'm gonna do it yet, but I'll make it look good. And do the coil packs. That's one thing I have completely forgot about, but we gotta do the coil packs and put the seat back in. And that's pretty much it. I mean, we're on target. So a lot of work, but it's paying off. It's gonna be really nice. This car is gonna run great. So I'm looking forward to hearing it purr. Something kind of interesting is this is an R35 coil pack rendition. This is the OEM SR20 coil harness, and that's the plug. This is the old 20-year-old connector, and she plugs right in. Clips right on there. Let me click it in. Yeah. It doesn't click though, but it does fit, which is interesting. So this connector does fit on the R35 coil. It just doesn't lock. It looks like it'll stay on there pretty good if you wanted to zip tie it or whatever. This will probably run and hold for a while, but I'm not gonna do that. I want it to clip on there. So I got these guys, and I'm gonna try to figure something out to make these kind of adapt to this, because I want to reuse this plug so it plugs and plays with the SR harness. I've already pinned it out, and if you do decide you want to just use the old connectors and just push it on, maybe throw a zip tie or whatever you're going to do, the power and ground are flipped. So this ground and this white wire need to be switched back and forth because these are pinned differently than the stock SR coil packs. Just a little tip in case you want to cheat and use this. But anyway, I'm going to move forward and use the good connectors and wire them properly. So that's how I'm going to do it.